Let's sew a super cute sloth sleep mask. What are we going to need? Firstly, we'll need some cuddle fleece fabric for the front. I've used a nice flannel fabric for the back. You want something soft and snuggly against your eyes. I'm going to use some white felt for the surrounds of the face. Some brown felt for those signature sloth eyes. A scrap of black felt for the nose. And some embroidery thread. I'm using black for the eyes. And also some nice soft elastic. I'm using a fold over elastic because it comes in a great range of colours and is really nice and soft and stretchy. And we're also going to use some heat and bond light. You could use fusible web if you prefer. Get your free pattern template at threadistry.com on the link on the screen. I'll also put a link in the comments. Let's cut out our fabric. Firstly, we've got the fabric for the front. Then we've got the fabric for the back. We've got the white face piece. We have the brown eye surround pieces. And that little black nose. We'll attach heat and bond light to the back of the face pieces. Our first step is to attach the white surrounds of the face. That's got the heat and bond light on the back. Let's have a look at the template to see how we're going to put this together. So I'll get that into position and then I'll press just with a nice downward motion to fix the heat and bond light onto the main fabric. Now that that's attached, see it's not coming off, I'm going to sew all the way around the edge. You could use either a straight stitch or a satin stitch. I'm going to do a straight stitch because it's a nice felt so it's not going to fray and it's a nice quick and easy way to do it. There we have it. We'll make sure we trim our threads as we go. So the next step is to pop on the eye surrounds. Here I am just peeling off the back of the heat and bond light from the two pieces. And once again using the template, putting them into position. And press. Once again, just holding down on the iron for a couple of seconds to get that heat and bond light to stick. Now I'm going to do the nose at the same time because these pieces don't overlap. I like to do all my work at the iron and then head over to the machine. So there we go, I'm just pressing that into position too. And once again, we're just going to sew around the outside with either a straight stitch or a satin stitch or a zigzag stitch, whatever you prefer. Let's take it to the machine. Now it's time to embroider the eyes. I'm just going to mark the position of the eyes I'm using a chalk pen here. Now I'm just going to take my black embroidery thread. I've already threaded it on a needle, I've got a knot in the end, and I'll just do a quick back stitch to outline those eyes. It's really looking like a sloth now. How cute is that? So now I'll grab my fold over elastic and I'll just line it up with the edges of the mask and pin into place just on the two sides. So I'm just going to sew a few stitches over the ends of the elastic. Just to hold it in place, and I want that inside the seam allowance. So just inside 1/4 of an inch. You don't need to worry about back stitching here. One side quickly done, let's do the other. So now we will attach our backing fabric. So with right sides together, just pop the backing piece on top, making sure that elastic's tucked in. Now when we sew around the edge, we're going to make sure we need to leave an opening. So what I like to do is mark a little cross with my pins. That reminds me that I need to stop. I do have a habit of sewing all the way around and then having to unpick, so this is a good little cheat to stop me from doing that. But let's speed this up. So let's take it to the machine. You want to make sure to backstitch or do a locking stitch at the start of your seam. And we're sewing this with 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. So there I am back at my X. So I need to leave that opening. And do another locking stitch or back stitch to finish off. So now I'm going to clip particularly around that tight nose area. Do little clips around that curve. Then you can trim back the seam allowance or clip the curves. I find because there's a fairly narrow seam allowance as well, it turns reasonably well without having to clip too much off. Now we'll turn it right side out. Take your time smoothing out all those curves. Use your finger or a chopstick or your scissors to just smooth everything out. Depending on your fabric, you might want to give it a good press, but I'm finding this is doing all right with just a finger press. And lastly, we need to hand stitch that opening closed. So let's grab a thread. And we'll use a ladder stitch. So I've tied a knot in the end of the thread. I'm just going to come in from the middle. And I just sew under on each side to create a nice invisible stitch. So I go across and under, across and under. Tie a knot in the end. Then I just thread the needle through to create a little bit of a tail inside the sleep mask. Then snip the thread and then shimmy that back inside. And there we have a nicely closed gap and a super cute sleep mask. Get the free template at threadistry.com. Nighty night.